Welcome in to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and I have had the privilege of covering a historic season for the North Texas Eagles and the Mean Green. Joined alongside me, as always, is Josh Ortega, Huston Hall, and Matthew McDowell. And joining us for the first time this season is our special guest, Hank Dickenson. Hank, the voice of Mean Green football. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the questions and talk about a big game. Thanks for letting me do this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. We have, I talked about it that I've had the privilege so far of talking about this historic season for North Texas, and you have as well. So I just want you to tell the fans and tell us a little bit what it has been like calling this team this season.
Well, I think if anyone's been sleeping on the Mean Green offensively, really for the last 5 years, they've missed out. We've been a top 40 and now a top 10, now a number one, yards per game offense. That's been consistent, whether it was Seth Luttrell or Eric Morris. But I think the big difference this year is Eric's been able to do what he does on the offensive side of the ball with total confidence in his defense. And so I think, we're going to talk a lot about Mestemaker, the quarterback, talk a lot about Hawkins, the running back, but that defense this year has given us a chance to be where we are. And so I think you have to really applaud the hire of Skylar Cassidy and the job he's done, bringing some really good defenders over from Sam Houston. And then the guys that were here last year, they're just much better on the defensive side of the ball, and that does help you win championships.
Hey, Hank, this is Josh Ortega. Just kind of curious, a lot in the offseason, a lot about ifs and buts of what this team could be. If somebody told you, kind of coming back to the past and telling your past self that this team would be one win away from making the college football playoff, how would you react knowing that you've covered this team for so long and, just been a part of really high moments for this team?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have believed that. I did feel like going into the season, looking at the schedule, that this could be an 8-9 win team. But 11-1, and to do it the way we've done it has really been, I wouldn't say shocking, but it's just been really, really fun to be a part of. And there's a momentum with this group that is pretty tangible. They're businesslike, they're not cocky, but they're very confident, and it's across the board. And so just being around them, it gives you it gives you the feeling that tonight's going to be a really good night. Now, it may not end up in a win, but I get the feeling we're going to play our A game tonight. The weather is going to have an impact on it. But, I think you make adjustments, and some of what's going to happen with the weather might actually be to the Mean Green's favor.
Hey, Hank, it's Huston Hall. As we discussed before the show, you actually control the fate of my GPA. So from this point on, I will be referring to you as Professor Dickenson. So
it's a good move.
Yes, Professor Dickenson, coming into Eric Morris's tenure here at UNT, we all knew him as the quarterback guru, but this is the second time in 3 years he's had a rusher go for over 1,000 yards. How cool is that from your point of view to be able to see him, not just work the quarterback position, but obviously the offense as a whole with another 1,000-yard rusher in Caleb Hawkins?
Well, I've been doing this for 31 years, and some of my favorite teams were teams that were run-based. And my favorite Mean Green player of all time is Patrick Cobbs, who's our running backs coach. So I give Patrick a lot of credit. If you look at the running back room over the last 5+ years, there's always been someone you could count on. And I remember having lunch with Pat before the season started, and he told me, hey, you're going to see a kid who's not even on the 3 deep, number 24, Caleb Hawkins. And when he comes in, you're going to know it. You're going to know what he's all about. And Caleb Hawkins has been amazing this year. But anytime you've got a really good running game, you have to give credit to what's up front. And our offensive line has done a phenomenal job. They've only given up 13 sacks. They've given Mestemaker a lot of time, and they've opened up really good holes in the red zone. We're looking at some of them right now. Caleb's really a gifted runner, and he's a very powerful runner, but he's also been given the kind of holes that you hit. You saw that one right there. Once he gets to the second level, then it's all on him, but he's been given some really good launching pads. And so I give a lot of credit up front, and it all starts with Gabe Blair. He's a senior and a guy that, I would hope has a chance to play on Sunday.
Hey, Hank, it's Matthew, former offensive lineman here. So I love what you're talking about right now. Obviously, we have leaders like Gabe Blair. But what would you say is contributed most to the success of the offensive line, able to open up holes for Caleb Hawkins and give Mestemaker time to throw the ball and sit in the pocket?
Well, I think one of the things that breaks down a team is all the yards after contact. And it could be yards after contact that Hawkins is able to get in the run game, But really, it's the receivers. You know, we throw a short passing concept out there every night, and Mestemaker puts the ball on the spot. But I bet a ton of his total 3,000 plus yards are coming after contact. So the offensive line just consistently does their job, but then you just kind of eat at teams in terms of they think they're in position to make a play, and boom, people are bouncing off people. Like Wyatt Young is amazing. He's really not that fast. He's really not that big, but no one can seem to really hold on to him once he catches the ball. In the record-setting game against Charlotte, you know, Drew threw for over 600 yards, but 300 of those yards came after initial contact. So I think it's kind of a combination of all that. Guys that really know what they're doing inside of Eric's scheme, and an offensive line that doesn't make a lot of penalties, doesn't give up sacks, and opens holes.
Awesome. And I have one more question, a little bit funner one for here, if that even is a word. I'll refer to you as Professor Dickenson for this one. Is Houston getting any brownie points or bonus points for his the way he addressed you last question, or no?
Well, his attendance has been horrible, so I don't think we can really save him at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's a good last effort. It'll be noted.
So he's going to have to do one more semester or add on another one?
Well, I teach a quantum physics class as well. He'll have to take that one now.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's good. Don't let Houston off the hook. Don't let him off the hook. You know, he tries to with that monotone voice, but you know, don't let him do that to you. Last question here, Hank, and then we'll get you out of here. I mean, it seems almost like an obvious one, but has this been the most fun you've had covering a North Texas football team?
Oh, I think so. You know, in the early 2000s, we made 4 straight runs here to New Orleans in the New Orleans Bowl, and the bowls were kind of a different situation then. There's a lot more bowls now than there were back in the early odds. So those were great years and a lot of fun. 4 straight conference championships, but yeah, just the momentum of this season, and now obviously what's on the line. I mean, it's unfathomable to say this, but if we win tonight, you know, we're only 4 games away from a national championship, and that happens to be the truth. If you win this game, you know, I think you jump into the college football playoff, and I don't know. I think we're kind of a team people would not really be excited to play. So I hope we can get it done tonight. If we don't, it's still been a great year, but so much in front of us if you get a victory tonight, and it's huge for the brand. I think it's huge for the university.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And Hank, thank you so much for joining us. We'll get you out of here on that. But once again, thank you so much.
Well, tune us in tonight. I know everybody wants to watch it on ABC, but you can do a little thing called syncmygame.com and tune in on the Varsity app while you watch it. I have it on good authority. It will be on at Eastside. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but it's kind of a popular place.
All right, sounds good. We'll make sure to tune in. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Dickenson.
Thanks, guys.
Man, what a treat.
Yeah,
That was
honestly.
great. That was a wonderful, to Hank. But guys, what do y'all think going into this one? You know, the season has been so special. I mean, this has been such a blast to cover this team. I didn't know at all coming into this year of Mean Green Game Day that we were going to have a team like this to cover. No. I knew that the schedule was kind of going to have an opportunity to work itself out to where we could find ourselves maybe as an 8 or 9 win team like Hank said, but to be 4 wins away from the national championship, I mean, that really puts it into perspective. What has it been like so far this Mean Green Game Day season to cover this football team for us?
I think it's been a lot of fun. I think that's the biggest thing is like I asked Hank, if you went back and told anybody who is either associated with the program or is a huge fan of the program or has been watching the Mean Green for a long time, overall, you know, it's a lot of ifs and buts coming into the year and kind of how that would be. And now that you're essentially 4 wins away from a national championship, I mean, to put that into perspective is incredibly successful. So it's been a really fun season to kind of watch.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that right here on this paper I have where my preseason record prediction was 7-5. I'm so glad that we exceeded that, you know, and we went so far beyond that, not just with the record, but the first ever AP poll appearance since November 9th, 1959. I think that was 1,032 polls that were the Mean Green were absent from until now. We peaked at number 20, first ever college football playoff poll this past week at number 24. So really this season with Drew Mestemaker, Caleb Hawkins, and Skylar Cassidy leading that defense has gone so far beyond anything that I could have ever dreamed of.
I mean, I'll say it to throw myself under the bus a little bit. I once say I had a record prediction of 7-5, but I didn't know who the starting quarterback was going to be coming into this year. I thought that it might be Reese popping over from Miami. I was like, oh, who's our quarterback going to be? Because obviously Mestemaker playing the bowl game, but we had a couple transfers over, guys already on the depth chart. So, I mean, we got Mestemaker, and who's knows what the sky's the limit for this guy. I mean, I could see him playing on Sundays. Some of the throws he's made this season has showed that, but I'm just glad we're 11-1 right now with a chance to go 12-1.
Yeah, and you know what else is Caleb Hawkins wasn't even the starting running back when the season started. I think about that all the time. Like, it was Mackenzie McGill. Like, this team has grown up before our eyes, and they've put together a phenomenal season. With that, we will be right back. We're going to have an interview with Haylie Stum, one of our reporters and writers for North Texas Daily. She's been covering the team all season, so we'll get her input on the UNT-Tulane game coming up next.
Hey Alex, this guy on the internet says he wants to give me money.
That sounds suspicious.
What do you mean?
Typically, strangers who promise you money on the internet have their own best interest in mind. They often use bounced checks, which will disappear shortly after depositing, but not before they've asked for some money in return.
So he doesn't really want to spoil me?
No.
Well, then what should I do?
The best way to handle it is to block and report the suspicious message, or even consult local law enforcement if you've already fallen victim.
So I guess we aren't going to Key West for spring break.
No.
There's no harm in wanting to have fun while in college, but it's easy to lose track of how much you've had. Apps like Drink Control and Alkadroid can help keep track of your consumption and blood alcohol levels. If you or someone else does drink too much, the signs of alcohol poisoning are as follows: pale skin, vomiting, confusion, low body temperatures, irregular breathing, blacking out, and is hard to wake up or cannot be woken up.
Dude, are you okay? Hey, what's wrong? Wake up.
It's an exciting time of year, but it's important to be responsible. If you suspect someone is suffering from alcohol poisoning, get help immediately. You will not get in trouble for seeking help if you are underage. For more info and resources, go to UNT's Division of Student Affairs.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and we just got done speaking with the voice of North Texas football and Hank Dickenson, and now we have the chance to speak to another newcomer, another first-timer here on Mean Green Game Day in Haylie Stum. Haylie, as a reporter for North Texas Daily, thank you so much for joining us here on Mean Green Game Day. Look at that. What a wonderful shot of everybody. Haylie, talk to us a little bit about what you've done this season covering North Texas football and what you're doing there in New Orleans.
Yeah, so I'm here to cover the Tulane North Texas game for the North Texas Daily. We're going to be rolling out a lot of multimedia content along with the traditional game coverage, and super excited to be here, and it's been quite the season covering Green for sure.
Yeah, so Haylie, what has been the, what's been the vibe there in New Orleans around the team? I know that the weather's been bad, so what should we expect so far today?
Yeah, so the weather looks to be better. I just checked the weather app about 30 minutes ago. It seems like the rain is going to be moved out by game time. There might be a slight delay in terms of warm-ups, but hopefully that won't make North Texas have to solely depend on pounding the rock through the end zone. And we haven't really been out in New Orleans yet so far. We got in a little late, so it was a little dead in the Big Easy.
Hey, what's up, Haylie? It's Josh. Obviously a lot of talk around this game being that it's going to potentially be Eric Morris's last game. What was kind of the feeling around the team and really the organization when that news came out that he was going to head up to Stillwater to be Oklahoma State's next head coach?
Yeah, so it differed. It was a tale of 2 days. On Tuesday, there was a very different storyline. You have Eric Morris show up to the weekly press conference in a gray hoodie and a white hat, and alarm bells started sounding for the media. And it broke that Eric Morris had committed to going to Stillwater roughly 30 minutes before the team meeting had come out. So there was a lot of frustration and a lot of anger. The writing was on the wall that Eric Morris was going to leave, but I think a lot of fans and people were confused by the timing in terms of it was days away from a must-win game for North Texas to make the conference championship and keep their CFP dreams alive. But when we got to Saturday after the Temple game, a lot of people were concerned that it was going to be a distraction for the win, but obviously it proved not. And not only that, in the press conference, Eric Morris was very transparent about everything. He kind of laid it all out on the line and changed the narrative of the news breaking. So he said he was apologetic for the way that it came out. He was not prepared for the news to break prior to the team finding out. And he said, quote, it was something he was going to have to live with for the rest of his life. I will say that he did not apologize for making the decision on Tuesday. He said he kind of needed to just get it off his back. So again, the writing was on the wall for Eric Morris leaving, but now that I think Eric Morris has cleared the air, we've talked to players, and either they're very media trained or they're staying true to the fact that it has not impacted the culture of the team and their mission, simply because Eric Morris has been so transparent in this entire process and has stayed committed to North Texas's mission. He's seeing it throughout the season, and we're seeing other coaches in FBS are not doing the same. So the players commend him a lot for finishing out the season.
Hey, Haylie, my name is Huston Hall. I just wanted to ask you, obviously, with the first two seasons here at UNT under Eric Morris, we had a combined 11 wins. We have a chance to get win number 12 of just this season alone tonight. Somebody that's covered the team all season long, what do you think has been really the big turnaround for this season compared to the last two under Coach Morris?
Well, I'd love to say I've been in the thick of it reporting for them, but this is actually my first season covering North Texas since I transferred. I'd say something that was a catalyst for change was obviously the defense, not necessarily it being the main focus of this Mean Green offense, right? You've got a national leader on the passing side of things for the Mean Green, but having a defense that can sustain the points that North Texas is putting up. Skylar Cassidy has done a great job of turning that program around. They lead the American in pass defense. So just really impressive all around. And then being able to dominate the ground game more. Not only the introduction of Caleb Hawkins into the mix, but just the way that they've systemed this entire offense to be more complementary of one another. And that ultimately has helped Drew Mestemaker have a stellar season and put up video game numbers.
Hey, Haylie, it's Matthew. So you talk about the defense, you talk about the running game for UNT, but we have weapons all over the field on the defensive and offensive ball. Who do you see being the X factor tonight? And after that point, can we get a score prediction from you?
Oh, man, I hate doing score predictions just because of all the factors that go into it. I'm going to start with my X factor. I'm going to say it's that linebacker core, Ethan Weslowski and Trey Fields. They're going to be vital to containing Jake Retzlaff and that Tulane offense, and ultimately slowing them down so North Texas can outrun them. Ethan Weslowski and Trey Fields have been excellent tacklers all year, and specifically Weslowski plays a huge role in the leadership standpoint. So look to those guys to kind of be able to slow Tulane down, and ultimately I do think North Texas matches up better with Tulane. I think I said on Wednesday on our NT Daily podcast it was going to be like 38, 31, something in the 30s. Sports Illustrated said they saw North Texas scoring 50 points in this game, which really wouldn't surprise me with the FBS leader in 50-plus point performances. But yeah, I would expect this to be a shootout. North Texas's defense does not favor the run. Tulane runs better. Tulane's defense does not favor the pass. North Texas throws better. So there's going to be a lot of points put up on this board. I'd stick in the 30s.
Haylie, I got one more question for you, and then we'll get you out of here. You mentioned the timing for Eric Morris and how he wasn't prepared for the decision to come out when it did, despite him being comfortable with the decision. Talk a little bit about the college football calendar and just how crazy it is. You know, Oklahoma State really can't afford to wait for Eric Morris to finish out the season. And so just speak on just how crazy the calendar's been all year long and how this impacts, coaching searches.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, you want to look at Eric Morse, but you got to look at Lane Kiffin. You got to look at John Summerall, who we spoke to on the virtual press conference on Monday, who was in Gainesville doing the press conference for Tulane in a blue and orange suit in it looked like his new office. That is not good for college football. I want to point to a quote that Eric Morse gave on Tuesday in his weekly press conference, and he said, "It does not hurt anyone more than the next generation of collegiate athletes, which is the high school kids, right? You've got signing day was Wednesday. And the amount of college coaches that are on a carousel right now, does not make it good for high school recruiting and being able to build a sustainable roster, right? Obviously, getting kids through the transfer portal is helpful in the piece to it, but you're not going to sustain a successful program without building through the high school system. And when we're putting them at a disadvantage, that's just not good for the sport. We're not going to see the best product on the field. I don't want to play president and say the exact legislation or policies that should go through, but there obviously has to be some change. And the fact that we have coaches, not necessarily all to their discredit, leaving at, especially North Texas's case, at a point where it's the most historic point of the season is just unbelievable. I will say that the American commissioner said he commended both John Summerall and Eric Morris for sticking it out and finishing out these seasons, which I would totally agree with. But that's not the case for the rest of these coaching searches, and something's got to change on that front.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I could sit here and, for hours and talk about how ridiculous the calendar is for college football and how it's impacted, players and coaches alike. But unfortunately, we can't do that. I'll spare you. I won't make you sit through that. But Haylie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know where we can find some of your stuff and some of your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be doing a lot of coverage for NT Daily. That'll be at NT Daily on Instagram and on X. And then you should follow me on my personal X account. That's where all my fun stuff gets to go. It's at Haylie Stum.
All right. Thank you so much, Haylie. We will see you later, and let us know how the game goes tonight in New Orleans.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Had so much fun.
All right, guys, that was Haylie Stum once again, and thank you to her for joining us. We are going to go ahead and move on and talk about the new head coach at North Texas. Neil Brown gets hired, former head coach of West Virginia, current assistant at the University of Texas. We'll talk about all of that and more coming up next.
The do's and don'ts of the Pole Rec Center. See that man over there? Please do not hog weights. Instead, do this. Another important part is having an attentive spotter. See, here is an example of a non-attentive spotter. Instead, do this. Now we head to the track, which should be pretty easy, just it's important to pay attention to the way the track goes. Remember to wipe down the equipment after you're done using it. The towels are provided by the gym, so it's pretty easy to wipe down the equipment when you are done. Thank you for using the Pole Recreation Center.
Looking to open a free checking or savings account but don't know where to start? Check out DATQ Credit Union right here on campus. Get your Mean Green debit card instantly or apply for a DATQ Visa credit card today. Your school, your card. Plus, make deposits at their 24/7 ATM, checks or cash whenever you need it. Make sure to sign up for DATQ's online banking platform and mobile app for easy access anytime, anywhere. Visit them at www.datq.org to learn more. DATQ, the official financial institution of UNT Athletics.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott. And guys, that was very helpful from, Haylie Stum and Hank Dickenson. I commend them once again for joining us on the show. That was a blast to get them on and hear what they had to say. But as we move on, I talked about it, I teased it last block when we left. Neil Brown has been hired as the next head football coach at the University of North Texas. He will have big shoes to fill following Eric Morris and one of the most successful, if not the most successful season in UNT football history. Neil Brown, though, former head coach at West Virginia, former Power 5 guy with lots of experience, also former G5 guy. He had a lot of his success at Troy. He was one of those pre-NIL hires by West Virginia, and he had a tough time adapting to the NIL system. But now Neil Brown has another chance to rectify that. What do y'all think of the hire just overall?
Yeah, I think that it's a hire, when you talk about the conversation around Eric Morris, without this season, I don't think that this team really could have made. Neil Brown, you look at his time at West Virginia and how it ended, it wasn't, the best way to end, but again, no ending is really the best way to end anything. But I think when you look at his time at Troy, I think it's the biggest thing to kind of see what he can do here at UNT, being that he was so successful at the G5 level with Troy in 2017 and from that point on. So overall, I think it's a really nice hire. It's a hire that we definitely couldn't have made before this season. So I think so far when we get to see him talk on Monday, I'm excited to see what he says and what this program kind of looks like going forward.
Yeah, Houston, what do you think about the Neil Brown hire?
Kind of like what Josh said with the fact that it probably wasn't a hire that we couldn't have made without the success of this season. I mean, I understand that, his time at West Virginia wasn't the most successful, but it's still 37-35 in 6 years there at West Virginia. That's still a power football program. I think that this hire kind of indicates the upward trend of this football program at UNT. And as I was saying in the office a couple days ago when we talked about it, it's at least somebody that, I didn't immediately have to Google his name. Whenever I saw us hire him, I immediately knew who he was and was familiar with some of his work. I also think it's important to note he's 5-1 in bowl games.
Yeah.
And we haven't won a bowl game since, I think, 2013, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know bowl games aren't held in as high a regard as they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
It is still pretty cool to see that his ability to win in the postseason. I'm very excited about the hire, too.
Yeah, you and Josh have now mentioned, we wouldn't have been able to make this hire without the success of the Eric Morris era. And I completely agree with that because Neil Brown's kind of a big boy hire.
Yeah.
That is a guy that has won at the Power 4 level. He has had championship success at the G5 level whenever he won, conference championships at the Sun Belt. And so this is like them showing, hey, maybe we didn't get the thing to pass with the students and the tuition, how much we're going to feed into the athletic program. But we are showing that we're serious about football. And I think that that's an important distinction that has been made and that UNT is, going all in to continue their success in football. Matthew, what do you think?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a splash hire per se. You don't look and be like, oh my gosh, what a hire for UNT. They're going to keep on this trajectory. But this is a guy who in his first year at Troy went 4-8, then had 10-win season, 11-win season, 10-win season, and won all those bowl games. And while he was at West Virginia, his best season was 9-4, which isn't easy in the Big 12. I mean, that's when they had Texas, Oklahoma State was still on their rise. Baylor was still good. K-State, always a couple years, are very good. And he won the Duke's Mayo Bowl at West Virginia. So, I mean, he's proven that he can compete and have a legitimate roster at the Group of 5 level and even coach at the Power 4 level. And now under Sarkisian, he's only learning more and getting better. So I personally like it. I'm waiting to see some of his first statements, some of his first press conferences, but I'm not mad about it at all, so I'm pretty happy about it.
I think also when you toss it into that kind of span going back to Troy, he was the third highest winning coach between both Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney at Clemson, and he beat you at Troy. And so those were prime time, gold of college football back then, and so he was very successful back at Troy. And then obviously still, like Matthew said, at West Virginia, still very successful, going 9-4 there in a very tough conference back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what should fans of North Texas expect from a Neil Brown-led football team?
I think they should expect to be ready to be patient. I mean, there's no need. I mean, let's not act like this isn't the regular thing for UNT. Let's not act like being in conference championships and fighting for a college football playoff spot is regular for UNT. Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll see how our retention is throughout the portal. I know that's going to be a hot topic with some of the guys currently on our roster, like Chris Jemerson, and some other ones, obviously, like Hawkins, Messmaker, Young. We don't have as good hopes for them. But, Chris Jemerson, who won the 6A state title in Texas 2 years ago or last year, now with us, we need to keep him. But be ready to go maybe 8-4 or 7-5 the first season. But I expect him to keep this program on the rise and hopefully keep us competitive in the American.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's one of the big things as well. And I think bringing up Chris Jemerson, he was a flip from TCU. Mm-hmm. So, he won the state last year, and he was a flip from TCU early on. He was committed to UNT, I think, when he won it. So he was really with us all the way. But it's kind of the thing in college football. You win small or you lose small, then you win a little bit, then you win a little bit more, and then you win a lot. So it's going to be a patient thing. There is no, perfect season into your first season. That's just not how this works. But overall, it's going to be kind of a patient test here. But I think that overall, in the long run, it can be something that maybe leads to close to this success that we see now. I don't want to say that we're going to do this again because you never know when the pinnacle is, but overall, patient hire.
I'm glad Matthew brought up the word roster retention. I think that that's really important with obviously the current state of college football and how hard it is to retain your current roster, and how you said that Neil Brown is kind of a big boy hire. A name like Neil Brown can kind of provide aloe for those transfer portal burns that a lot of teams are experiencing, especially a lot of G5 teams. And a guy like Chris Jimerson or other guys like Miles Coleman and Landon Sides that still have eligibility left. I think a guy like Neil Brown is the right type of guy to be able to retain some of those guys that previously we might have lost if we got somebody that was less well known.
Yeah, well, let's talk about
analogy there. Aloe for some transfer portal burns. I like
Come
that.
on now.
We're dialed. We're dialed.
Let's talk about player retention though. Like let's take a look at it from the whole way around. Like what are some of the guys that we're really going to be able to keep? Because like you mentioned, Matthew, we don't have high hopes for keeping Drew Messamaker. We don't have high hopes for keeping Caleb Hawkins. Some of the other top players like Wyatt Young and stuff like that, we don't expect to be on the team next year. What players should we expect? You mentioned Chris Jimerson, one of the best players in all of high school football last year at Crowley, passed for over 3,700 yards, really just an elite player, over 50 touchdowns. So who should we keep on this team going into next year if we can?
I think, obviously I'm going to piggyback off of Jimerson because you think about what Eric Morris is so good at, it's finding quarterbacks. And so if you can keep a guy that Eric Morris, he probably wanted to play in the Eric Morris offense. And at that point, who doesn't? I mean, with the numbers they're putting up right now, I will want to play in that offense. Either way, kind of going forward into that, you keep a guy who he recruited, who you kind of can almost like bet on that he will probably be good because Eric Morris talked, and recruited him in and brought him into this program. So he's a guy that could potentially be the quarterback of the future. He's got winning pedigree in high school football. It's not easy to win a state championship, and he was very good in high school. So he's probably one of the guys that I would kind of point on being one of those guys that we need to keep.
Yeah.
As important as Chris Jimerson is, I'm going to go with the position that's supposed to be the quarterback's best friend, and that's the wide receiver, and point to a guy like Landon Sides, the hometown kid from Denton Geyer High School. And he's had the keys to the city since that video game came out. So I'm going to say Landon Sides for year 4 at UNT.
I'll go with some more homegrown guys, if you will. I'll go with Ethan Weslowski and Quentin Hammonds on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, Ethan Weslowski leads us in all tackles, and Quentin Hammonds has been huge for this season, especially in the Navy game. But Weslowski's at 97 total tackles. He's from McKinney, Texas. Hampton's locking it up over the top, and he's from Allen, Texas. So if we can keep these homegrown guys, if you will, I mean, they're 40 minutes from Denton, that would be huge for the defense and would probably help with some keeping Skylar Cassidy here.
Now, I want to move on. I want to talk about the defensive staff and Skylar Cassidy. Will he stick around and be on this Neil Brown staff? Does he go to Oklahoma State with Eric Morris? Does he go to maybe a Power 4 job and be a defensive coordinator? What is the next step for Skylar Cassidy?
I think the biggest thing is probably going to be whether or not he goes up to Oklahoma State. I mean, Eric Morris brought him in and he basically transformed this defense around. I haven't watched too much of Oklahoma State's defense, but I mean,
not good,
not great.
You're not missing out on anything.
They got the opposite record of us. We're 11-1. They're 1-11.
Yeah, so not looking too good right now. But I mean, he transformed our defense, so I wouldn't be surprised if Eric Morris didn't really float the idea. But then again, he does have a lot of his players back from Sam Houston. They could easily jump in the portal and do the same thing. It'd be, the triple Sam Houston giant move to Stillwater. Yeah. But
the old Sam Houston to Oklahoma State
north.
pipeline.
Pack it in the RV.
They're just going north. They were in Huntsville, then they went to Denton. Now they're going to be in Stillwater. They're just traveling north. That's all it is.
Either way, I think that it's a conversation I would love for Skylar Cassidy to say just what he's done for this defense, but it's definitely up in the air right now with Morris now definitely out the door.
Yeah, Houston, what do you expect?
I think the important thing to note is Skylar Cassidy's age. He's only like 30. So I think that...
So he's closer with your age?
You're older than me.
No, you're not.
Did y'all graduate high school the same year?
Shut up. Anyways, he's obviously a very young defensive coordinator. I mean, he was at Sam Houston for just 1 year, wasn't he? And then
I believe so.
Yeah, I think 1 year, and then Abilene Christian for 2 years before that. So he's had some really good experience, but not a lot of it. That could just be hopeful thinking on my part that we can see him come back for another year, because I like this year where when the other team got the ball,
Yeah.
This is where the last 2 years. No.
That hasn't been the case.
Yeah, but I think there's a solid chance that Coach Cassidy stays in Denton.
Okay, Matthew?
I think the number one thing is if Morris wants him there and the size of the check he's going to receive, because I would bet a lot of money that Oklahoma State has got deeper pockets than UNT right now. They're willing to cough up more, and the students clearly are, because what a shame our students can't. I mean, just say you're broke. You can't afford like $15 extra like a semester. Like, just pick up 1 extra hour on your shift. Like, come on. But I digress. But hopefully he stays, you know. I hope so, but I wouldn't be surprised if Morris takes him with him, and I think it would be good for Oklahoma State personally.
I want to apologize on behalf of Matthew for calling the students bro. Not everybody has that Sigma Phi Epsilon money in their pocket.
Oh my gosh. All right, last thing to wrap this up. What are your expectations for Neil Brown immediately, so like next season, and then what are your expectations for him down the line and in the future?
I think let's just win small, maybe a little bit above 500. Again, we don't know what this team is going to look like. We saw a lot of change last year, and looking at the success we've had this year, I say let's just win small above 500.
Yep.
Well, kind of like what he said, let's not pretend like 11-1 is the new standard or the regular or anything like that. So I think you can expect to take some steps back, but you know, it's not like if we can retain some of the roster and we'll see what he can do in the portal. And I think, yeah, a 7-5, 8-4 season is very realistic for this team next year.
Matthew?
I'd say retain talent, make a bowl game, and win that bowl game. I feel like those are very realistic expectations, and those should be met.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Coming up next, we're going to talk about signing day. Just this past Wednesday, it opened up. Today, on Friday, it closes. So we're going to talk about the early signing period, see where some of the top high school recruits went across the country. Coming up next.
What's wrong? Are you stuck in your paper?
Pretty much. I haven't written anything in like an hour.
Why don't you check out the Writing Center at UNT?
Well, how do I meet up with them?
All you have to do to make an appointment is visit the Writing Center's website and either call the number or email writingcenter@unt.edu. The appointment is 30 minutes long, and the trained tutors will be able to help with brainstorming, correcting grammar, ensuring clarity, and a wide range of services. They also do walk-in appointments.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna check them out.
So, when's this paper due?
30 minutes.
For more information, visit the UNT Writing Center's website.
Yeah, it's 6 pages.
Willis Library, located at the University of North Texas. It has computers, printers, and the building is open 24/7. By going online, you can book up to an hour of reserved space and one of the many private study rooms. Many of them are equipped with whiteboards, a table, and a TV to hook up to your computer. Textbooks can be checked out for free with a student ID. They also have many of these in ebook forms. This is still a library, so always remember to be quiet and respectful of other surroundings, especially in certain places where talking is not allowed. For example, the 3rd and 4th floor are completely quiet. As you can see, Willis Library has many options for students, with it offering many media sources and staying open all the time.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, joined again with Josh Ortega, Huston Hall, and Matthew McDowell. We are talking about National Early Signing Day. It just started on Wednesday. That window will close today at midnight, and it's been crazy so far, just as it always is. National Signing Day for me, I mean, I love following college football recruiting. It is my favorite time of the year, and then now with the transfer portal opening up, you know, it's kind of like you get 2 signing days. You get the portal window opening up on January 2nd, and that's a blast. But high school recruiting is where it's always been. It's been my favorite for a long time, and it's kind of like Christmas. It really is like Christmas Day when you see where all these kids are going to go. You're going to see the flips and stuff on signing day.
Except it's multiple nights.
Hey, it's like Hanukkah then.
Yeah, that's Hanukkah.
But anyways, you know, recruiting season is the best season, and it's been chaos once again, as it always is. In the NIL era, we have seen even more chaos because, you know, you'll have teams show up with like a big-time NIL package on the last day and be like, hey, this is the offer. If you decline it or if you take 10 minutes to mull it over, it's off the table.
It's like Bryce Underwood.
Yes,
he's getting like a mil per touchdown thrown this year.
It's been a rough year for the Michigan pass catchers. That's no lie. But LSU has been a main story this year for multiple reasons. Firing Brian Kelly, hiring Lane Kiffin, and that debacle. And now on signing day, it's holding together that class. Multiple 5-star defensive linemen in Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, and Trent Henderson are trying to make their decisions. Richard Anderson finally did put pen to paper and sign his LOI for LSU yesterday. Lamar Brown has not. Now, the big distinction is that Richard Anderson is going to be a January enrollee, so he needs to get his LOI signed immediately, where Lamar Brown's going to be a summer enrollee, so he can wait till February and hit that actual signing day window. And then Trent Henderson, the 5-star edge, is still undecided. I think Miami's a big player in that one. Texas had been in that recruitment for a long time. Florida State's come along big. He's in the state of Florida, so those are some in-state schools that are really swinging big to keep him in Pensacola. Where does LSU go with this class? Where do these guys end up? And, can Lane Kiffin hold it together and sign these 5 stars?
I think it's a weird thing because you think about the biggest storylines surrounding LSU, and it's Lane Kiffin, and, he's kind of a players, coaches guy, except, at Ole Miss, let's be honest. Either way, I think that LSU's got deep pockets. They could easily retain a lot of these guys, whether they want to come and kind of see. I think there was a really big point that Joe Klatt brought up on Fox this week about Lane Kiffin. It was, this hurts his credibility, because now you get a bunch of guys who are calling a bunch of these players and saying, hey, why are you going to commit to a guy when he just left his team in the playoffs, hung them dry, right? And then you go back to Tennessee and how that, kind of spoiled out back when iPhones didn't exist. Now you think about it, it's a good point. It's a point that a lot of coaches are going to bring up. Why are you going to commit to a guy who is not going to commit to his team in the biggest moment? It's a point. But I do think that LSU can hold on to a couple of these guys, but you may see these guys kind of turn the tables a little bit.
Yeah. Houston, how do you see LSU finishing up this signing day period?
Well, I kind of want to come to Lane Kiffin's aid here, because keep in mind that these LSU commits that were committed to LSU that haven't signed yet, they may not want to commit to that guy, but they did commit to a guy that was doing this.
So you reenacted my dance moves. You're stealing my flow. I feel like Soulja Boy stole my whole flow.
I don't think that a guy that leaves his team in the playoffs is exactly the worst guy that they could commit to.
I was just going to say that these guys, for the most part, whenever you have these high-profile guys and a head coach gets fired, there's major recruiting fallout. You see this all over the place. A guy gets fired, all the recruits hit the portal or decommit or flip, whatever. That is not going to be the case with LSU, because there is no way that these players committed because of Brian Kelly and his, charming personality. They committed to LSU because they wanted to play in the Bayou. They wanted to play for LSU and put on for, New Orleans, especially if they're the in-state recruits. The ties between Louisiana State University and in-state recruits is deep. It's kind of assumed that you're going to go play for LSU and be a Bayou Bengal. They did not commit to that school for Brian Kelly. I think that this is a rare case where these top guys are not going to flip just because the head coach left. Now, it is, like you said, Josh, worth mentioning, how much do these guys trust Lane Kiffin and how long he's going to stick around? I mean, he's bounced around his entire coaching tenure, all the way from Tennessee, and then going and being the head coach at the Raiders, and then leaving after that, then being the head coach at USC, getting fired on the tarmac at USC, and then being an offensive coordinator at Alabama and getting kind of fired, kind of hired as he was trying to be the head coach at FAU and be the offensive coordinator at Alabama behind Nick Saban's back. He has a very colorful history throughout his entire life, and he's still considered like a young guy. So, I mean, he's lived multiple college football coaching lives, and now he's still around causing chaos between Ole Miss and LSU. Just the most Lane Kiffin thing ever. So I understand that there's real turmoil between recruits and Lane Kiffin in terms of trusting him. Moving on, Virginia Tech had a big weekend. They flipped multiple guys from Penn State, and that makes sense with James Franklin. That's got to sting if you're Penn State. I mean, they still haven't hired a head coach. I know at this point it seems like Kalani Sitake's going to be the guy, the head coach at BYU, who's won a ton of games for them in the past few years. They really wanted to get Kalen DeBoer as their head coach. They took a big swing at the Alabama head coach. They missed. DeBoer's going to stick around with Alabama. So where does Penn State go from here with now their recruiting class falling apart?
Well, the hard part is they're not even going to get Sitake now because he just signed that extension with that Crumbl cookie money up at BYU. I mean, now they've just swung and missed on him. They wanted DeBoer, but that job didn't open up because of the Iron Bowl, and Alabama snuck out a win in that one. Imagine if Lane Kiffin found out that job opened up.
Lane Kiffin would not be in LSU.
He would have been foaming at the mouth.
Yes, that is his dream job.
That is his dream job. He probably would not be an LSU Tiger right now. But I think that if you're Penn State, you had to expect that with firing a big guy in James Franklin, who is a player's coach, who knows how to tender to recruits and be that player's coach kind of guy for his teams. And so now you got Virginia Tech essentially taking all your players. You don't have a coach, just really rough spot for Penn State right now.
Yeah, guys, what do y'all think?
Penn State might be the worst team in the Power 4 next year. They have 27 decommits right now. I stopped counting at 6 that signed with Virginia Tech. Those were just the ones graded 9,000 or higher. So yeah, Penn State's in a really rough spot. I think there's a good 10 to 15 FCS teams that are out recruiting them right now.
It's bad.
They've only signed, I think, 2 guys.
I mean, they don't have a head coach,
No, they don't.
Yeah. It's who are these guys supposed to commit to?
They thought they were going to get DeBoer.
They thought they could. They thought they could swing it.
They were basing that thought off hopes and dreams.
I think that there was a feeling that DeBoer, maybe wasn't a great fit at Alabama, kind of wanted out, and he's a northern guy, and Penn State was an opportunity. they swung, they missed. DeBoer wasn't actually that
Nobody's
interested.
sitting at Penn State right now.
Hey, man, I agree.
Yeah.
Matthew, what do you think about
I
Penn
think
State?
their goals were too high. They're talking about Mike Elko, Kalen DeBoer. It's like
Yeah, they did swing and miss at Mike Elko as well. I forgot about that.
They had, those guys have premier coaching jobs in the SEC. I mean, the NIL funds of Alabama and Texas A&M. It's not like they're coaching for Texas State and UAB. It's like they're coaching for arguably the top premier. I just totally forgot a word. Premier. Programs. Yes, I was thinking of the premier program in their states. Texas A&M and Alabama. Obviously, Texas A&M, Texas at 1 and 2, and Alabama is probably the most historic program in all of college football.
Yeah.
But I think their goals were set too high. I think they should have gone for Alex Golish, Eric Morris, and guys like that. So I think they just had the wrong state of mind, and I think they were thinking they were overestimating themselves, be like, we're the #1 job in knowledge of college football, but that just straight up is not true.
Yeah. There's a guy that I'd really want to touch on before we get to our individual players we want to highlight, and that's Chris Henry Jr., the #1 wide receiver in the 2026 recruiting class. He was expected to sign on Wednesday with Ohio State, but just hours before his announcement, it was released that wide receiver coach Brian Hartline was taking the head coaching job at South Florida, replacing the shoes of Alex Golish, who now moved on to Auburn. And that, as quoted by Steve Wiltfong, shook Chris Henry Jr. He did not expect that to happen, and this is a guy that's been committed to Ohio State since 2023. He has been in the fold for a long time, and now all the way down to the 2026 cycle is expected to sign, and on the day of, his wide receivers coach leaves, and now just like that, it's up in the air. Oregon has been the #1 team to watch here in his recruitment. He has a great relationship with Dan Lanning and the recruiting staff over there. Texas also coughed up a big NIL deal that was reported, and it apparently resonated with Chris Henry Jr. and his staff, his camp. But it seems like the Texas deal has kind of fizzled out. LSU just coughed up a big one. USC coughed up a big one as well. Teams are trying to go all in to get the modern day product. Chris Henry Jr., where is he going to end up? Will he stick with Ohio State, or will Oregon come in and steal him?
I think it's interesting because now you throw in the homegrown product, and what's a team that's been throwing a ton of money at homegrown products in the Southern California region? USC's got a lot of money they could easily throw. They already have the #1 class in the country in terms of recruiting, so they could easily throw money at it. I do think that Oregon, with Dan Lanning, and you think about the wide receivers that have come out of Oregon into the NFL, and Troy Franklin and many others that have been so good the last few years. Overall, it's a really big decision for Henry, and I honestly think he might go to Oregon. That might be the best spot.
The vibe right now is that the flip is coming for Oregon. Houston, what do you think?
Well, I thought it was interesting you mentioned Oregon and Texas both, because you look at Oregon, who signed the #1 wide receiver in last year's class, and DeCorian Moore from Duncanville, and then Texas, who got the #2 guy in Khalid Lockett from Saxe. But like you said, that Texas thing is kind of fizzled out. I really think that it's going to go with Oregon and their Nike money. If you're Ohio State right now, what are you selling? Just the opportunity to play with Jeremiah Smith and Julian Sand. I mean, you got to try to sell that the best you can, but I agree with what y'all said, and I think Oregon's coming in for the flip.
Yeah, Matthew?
I think Oregon's very appealing. I don't really know I think Josh's take with USC is more hopeful than anything. I mean, I respect it, game recognized game, but if I were to guess, I could see him having a good career in Autzen Stadium with the Oregon Ducks. But, what Ohio State does pitch them is they got history. They got probably some of the best receivers in all the NFL. So I know Oregon has a lot of players in there, but they don't have the Jackson Smith and Jigbas, the Garrett Wilsons, all those guys. So, I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then we all picked out some guys that we want to highlight individually. Josh, I'll start with you. Talk about some of your top favorite, or your favorite recruit of this 2026 cycle.
There's a lot of things certain in college football. North Texas wears green, LSU's purple. One thing is usually for certain recruiting is Georgia always gets a quarterback. This time, they didn't. Their 5-star guy, Jared Curtis, flipped to Vandy, and he is their first ever 5-star recruit they've ever signed. He threw 91 touchdowns to 6 interceptions throughout his entire high school career. Flipped to Vandy late. I think that, with Vandy kind of making some noise in the college football playoff, Pavia is asking, the judicial branch, or the executive branch of the government to try and extend his, his eligibility, and
whether he's tweeted at Donald Trump. He said, "Fix this. This is this is treason that they're not letting him have like a 9th year in college football."
Free Diego Pavia.
Either way, I think that, with Vandy being so good this year, and obviously led by Diego Pavia, and how good that offense is, being able to flip a 5-star guy from a team like Georgia, now leaving them without a quarterback, yes, this is the early window of recruiting, so that can very well change because Georgia's got a ton of money and a ton of resources and a lot of appeal for 5-star quarterbacks. But, flipping them to Vandy, it's kind of interesting a little bit here. You don't usually see Vandy pick up guys like that.
Yeah, the NIL era, this is the NIL era in recruiting in a nutshell. Schools can cough up money and, getting a guy that they want if they really want to put the resources towards it. Houston, you got an in-state guy. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with the quarterback position and go with Keyshawn Henderson from Spring, Texas. And I thought this guy was interesting because I remember when he committed back to U of H back in 2024. I think it was that summer or spring.
It was early. It was really early.
It was like the summer between his sophomore and junior year, and I thought, oh, he won't stay. He's about to watch them get ran through by the entirety of the Big 12, and he won't stay. It kind of, like I told you, Wyatt, it reminded me of the Keelan Russell commitment to SMU when we thought, oh, he's just doing that because he promised himself when he was 6 years old that he would commit to the first team that offered him.
Yeah.
And then I, just kind of kept up with him. He took 5 unofficial visits and then his OV, and then signed on December the 3rd with Houston. That's what we call recruiting through the whistle. Once
Absolutely.
you have a commitment, you stay and you continue to get that guy back on campus, especially with a team like Houston. Doesn't always get the 5-star talent. You have to continuously get that guy on campus. And this is a really impressive prospect. We talk about quarterbacks who are great athletes that happen to play quarterback, but he's the opposite. He's a great quarterback that also happens to be a great athlete. So he's a dual threat guy. He can make multiple types of throws. He can really rip the ball, but he can also show off the touch and some downfield passes as well. So I'm really excited for the Cougars and landing the #1 overall player from Texas.
Yeah, Keyshawn Henderson's going to have a chance to get playing time immediately, especially with Connor Wigman being gone after the season. Matthew, you got a guy that we touched on a little bit earlier, the Bayou Bengal himself, Lamar Brown. What do you think about him?
Well, this guy's #4 recruit in all in the nation right now. I mean, it's really iffy. He's really battled between A&M and LSU. A&M's gone hard for him, and his last visit before committing to LSU was to A&M, and he's gone to one game at LSU this year, and that was against A&M when they just ran it up on LSU. Then the last game he went to when he visited A&M was a blackout game versus LSU last year. So for all him willing to be able to go through all of that, either he has to have like one of the craziest NIL like offers in recent memory, but he also is from Baton Rouge. He's from University Lab, so he's got ties to Baton Rouge. But I could see A&M coming along, especially if they have success in the playoff, gets round 3 and possibly even 4. I think they'll win round 1. I mean, they're either going to play possibly Virginia. We'll see how the college football ranking puts them, but A&M's in hot pursuit of him. And I mean, LSU's got the 6th highest recruiting class in all the SEC. That's not where they want to be. And if they lose their #1 guy, that could have an effect on some other recruits. So I would say keep an eye on Lamar Brown.
Yeah, for sure. The Aggies are going to go all in to try to get him in their 2026 class, which has been impressive in their own right. I will go ahead and highlight my one player very quickly at Willis. He played with another former 5-star in DJ Lagway. That was his quarterback there, and he put up phenomenal numbers. Jermaine Bishop, though, the comps are going to be Travis Hunter because he plays both sides of the ball. He really could put for either one for Texas. He could be a defensive back, he could be a wide receiver, but he is so electric with the ball in his hands. I don't see how he plays anything other than offense. I think, what was the kid? Adoree Jackson for USC a couple years ago, where he was a full-time defensive player and then he'd get some touches, maybe 5 to 10 snaps a game on the offensive side of the ball. I think that he's going to be the inverse, where he's going to be a full-time offensive player, and then you'll see him sporadically maybe line up in nickel. I think that's where he's most naturally fit. Just a slim guy that can keep up with those twitchy slot receivers. But Jermaine Bishop has been electric. He's done it all. He just had a game in the playoffs where he had 5 total touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And he really did it all for Willis. And so Jermaine Bishop is a guy that I think needs to be highlighted. He's committed and signed to the Texas Longhorns right now. Coming up next, we are going to talk Tulane versus North Texas in the American Conference Championship with a spot to go to the college football playoffs on the line. Coming up next.
TRIO is a federally funded grant program. It was funded in the 60s, and it supports student success and student retention. So we have a lounge, computer lab, free printing for our students. We also provide one-on-one advising services for our students, as well as career exploration and prep. Students who are eligible for TRIO include those who are first-gen, low income, or have a disability. They just have to meet one of those 3. There are many benefits to being in TRIO. Some of the general ones are the services we provide. The other benefits include creating a sense of community, a sense of belonging, and giving a safe space for students to come. Students can apply for a program by either coming in person and scanning a QR code, or they can also visit our webpage that has a direct link to our online application. And students need to know that we are here to help.
Hey, what's up? Nothing much. I'm really bored. I feel like there's nothing to do. Are you kidding? The MRTS picture show is happening. The MRTS what? cup of tea. Okay.
It's a series of free film screenings right here on campus.
And there's free popcorn. Nice. Thank you.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and as I mentioned before, North Texas is taking on Tulane in New Orleans tonight for a chance to go to the college football playoff and win the American Conference Championship. Fellas, this would be the biggest win in UNT football history if they were able to pull it off and then go to the playoffs. But you know, getting that hardware of winning the American Conference Championship, that means something too. I don't want to gloss over that because of the implications of the college football playoff on the line. It would be so big for this program to win an American Conference Championship in football.
No, absolutely. I agree. I think that this is the game. You know, this is the game of the year for us. You know, we talked about South Florida being the game of the season. This is the game of the year, and it's got a lot of importance behind it, not just for the playoffs, but the American Championship as well.
Now, we talked about it a little bit with Haylie Stum. It's weird right now because both of these head coaches have accepted jobs at other schools. They have been to these other schools, touring facilities, you know, shaking hands and kissing babies, you know. This is exactly what has been happening in preparation for the American Conference Championship and a spot to go to the college football playoff. It has to play a factor. They can talk all they want about blocking out the noise and that they're focused on this game, but the truth is they might be focused on this game, but they're focused on other stuff too that wouldn't be a distraction if they weren't taking these other jobs. How much of a factor is it going to be that these head coaches have been distracted all week preparing for their new jobs?
I'll step in. Not to cut anyone
go
off.
for it.
Obviously, Oklahoma State fans on Twitter, they've been mad. Or North Texas fans have been mad because they're saying, recruits saying, thanks to Coach Morris offering me, I'm committing to Oklahoma State. A lot of flips are going to Oklahoma State. But Morris is handling this way better than John Summerall. I mean, you saw him get off the private jet in Florida going like that. He's doing his interview in a blue and orange suit, like Haylie was saying. I think it's kind of ridiculous the way Summerall's been handling it. I understand it from a Summerall point, but how do those players on the Tulane roster look at that? How does Red slap the card be like, this is my head coach? Mm-hmm. Is he just giving up on me? I understand that you can say, UNT players might be like that, but I haven't seen Morris in black and orange. I haven't seen him in Stillwater. I mean, obviously he's been in Stillwater. He's on the contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he ain't flaunting it around.
I haven't seen him going like that all over the country. I haven't seen him shooting shotguns and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think Morris has handled it way better than Summerall getting off the PJ with his wife and kids going like that.
What kind of baffled me about it is when I saw that Summerall was in Gainesville 2 days ago or 3 days ago or whatever it was, and I was like, really?
This is game week.
I was about to say, you got...
Don't you got practice at 4?
We're going to practice this afternoon or something? Come on, this is the biggest game of the season. What are you doing over there? Versus where, he was saying, we all know Coach Morris has had to have been to Stillwater, but...
Of course. Naturally.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about him missing practice for it, though.
Yeah.
What do you do? So-and-so offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, run practice today. I'm going to go to Gainesville and... chat with the Florida fans.
Yeah, exactly.
What message does that send to the program? That not just the players, but the fans and the athletic department. It just looks like you're kind of giving up on the season. Obviously, they're not. I'm not saying this is going to be a cakewalk for UNT, but I think that's just a bad for Summerall. And I think Morris has handled it very well.
Well, and you remember when they first put them into the rankings, and the one quote that came out was, there's no way that we're a team.
He's like, we're not a good team.
We're
I don't
not,
know why we're ranked that high.
We don't need to be ranked that high. That's got to be playing into that factor as well.
Idiots. But what are you doing?
But either way, whichever way this goes, there's going to be that narrative as, this person's checked out. This person's checked out. Whatever way it swings, that's going to be a narrative, and it's going to be, unfortunately, one side. Hopefully it's on the right side of history, but, it's going to be a narrative nonetheless, whichever way this goes.
All right, let's get into the game breakdown. This is going to be really a clash of two tales in terms of scheduling. North Texas had a very advantageous schedule. They've been able to kind of coast through this year. They got all of their tough games at home. They got all of their winnable games on the road, and really, their out-of-conference foe, which was Washington State, that was supposed to be kind of tough, ended up being pretty bad this year. And so...
Hey, don't forget about that Ole Miss game.
That is true. They almost did beat Ole Miss. That was a Lane Kiffin special, laying an egg in the middle of September.
Who didn't almost beat Ole Miss?
Yeah, they did.
No, you know who didn't, though?
Oh.
Tulane.
You're right. Tulane got smacked by Ole Miss, and I'll get into that because this has been a battle-tested group. They got wins over Duke and Northwestern, and then they got smacked, of course, by... Ole Miss, but then they had the close win, or they had the big win against Memphis as well to, put them in the American Conference Championship for the most part. What do you think is going to? You think that's going to play a factor? The fact that they've played so many quality teams throughout this season and teams that can score points and run it up, where North Texas has faced, some, let's just call it what it is, some pretty bad teams throughout this year.
I mean, are we calling Northwestern and Duke, Alabama, and LSU?
I mean, Duke's an ACC
but
title game.
But that's a whole different conversation. That's the ACC.
I'm just saying that Northwestern would be the best team that North Texas played on their schedule besides South Florida.
Would it?
Yes.
I think Navy's better than Northwestern.
Navy's better than
I
Northwestern?
think Navy's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally think that Northwestern would be the second best team
Can
on
I
their
weigh
schedule.
in on Duke real quick?
Yeah. I think Duke is a damn good team, by the way.
Duke's quarterback is a transfer from Tulane.
Yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, but the thing is, when a G5 loses their quarterback to the transfer portal, they have to get a new guy. You think, oh, the new guy may not be as good. They got the guy we all thought was the upgrade anyways.
No.
No.
I'm not going to let you say that. Darian
Come on
Mensah is not worse than Jake Retzlaff.
Last year, Jake Retzlaff, BYU, almost
Yeah.
let him do a Big 12 championship.
I don't think Jake Retzlaff is that
Darian
good.
Mensah threw an interception to UNT.
I don't think that Jake Retzlaff's that good. I don't think he was that good at BYU last year. I think BYU was, once again, just like this year, a favor of a very easy schedule. And then when things ramped up down the stretch, they kind of crumbled. Jake Retzlaff put up some empty numbers, and I think he kind of had the media machine pushing, the BYU thing and everything. It was really fun. So I just don't think that we're going to have Darian Mensah be worse than Jake Retzlaff. He's balled out at Duke.
Why did Jake Retzlaff get kicked out of BYU again?
BYU University Code of Conduct. You know about that, Matthew?
Do I need to comment on it?
I think you do, Matthew. Tell the folks what happened to Jake Retzlaff at Duke, or at BYU.
So, the Mormons, they like to get in the pool. They like to get away. Some would call it, swimming around. Someone would call it diving. Someone would call it soaking. So we'll see what all happens with the Quakers and the Mormons up in Utah. But to get back to this game, let's throw these highlights on. We're talking about the quality opponents of Tulane. Is Memphis really that quality? Memphis is 8-4 team. Obviously,
No, they're playing 500 ball in conference play.
Exactly,
They're 4-4
exactly.
in conference. They're not any good.
Memphis is not a quality opponent. Like, they're not bad. They're not UTSA, who, by the way, smacked up on Tulane. But Memphis is a 500 team in conference play, and obviously Tulane beat them by a large margin. But let's not act like, oh my gosh, they beat Memphis. These guys they're so nasty. It's like, they got smacked by Ole Miss. Oh, they played Duke. Who cares? They're 7-5. They played Northwestern. Minnesota should beat Northwestern. Northwestern's have a little bit of a, miracle season, in my opinion. Not a miracle season, but I think they're overachieving big time. So let's talk about a little bit of UNT, though. Let's start with some UNT highlights. Let's talk about Caleb Hawkins, some Drew Messmaker.
There we go.
Yes, no, maybe so. I mean, even look, Memphis made this game close, 32-38. I mean, and
this game started off. Jake Retzlaff looked like he was going to break Drew's record, and then he didn't throw I think he threw one complete pass the entire second half.
And you think Darian Mensah is worse than him?
Okay, well, again, I watched Darian Mensah throw an interception to UNT defense. They gave up 600 yards offense in that same game.
Memphis could have easily won this game too. I mean, we see that throw close to the end zone. It was incomplete, but yeah, I just think Tulane, they're good, but I don't think they're.
Oh, there's the UNT.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at us versus Lamar. What did we put up in this game? 51-0. Yeah, that's what was that similar score the Ole Miss Tulane game, 45-10, something like that. But there we see Hawkins running in the end zone. But I mean, this is going to be a rainy game, so Hawkins is going to have to utilize. We're going to have to utilize the ground game. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier with Haylie and Hank, the rain and the forecast stuff like that. So it's going to be really stormy and gloomy over in New Orleans. I wonder if our control room has anything for that. But we see Hawkins here breaking tackles, going in the end zone. That South Alabama game, we won by 2 scores. It could have been 3 here versus USF. Obviously, that wasn't a great game. That was the last touchdown. And then here versus UTSA, who whooped on. Oh, yeah, here's Chris Jemerson to another freshman. Bang!
That's the future right
bucket.
there.
Yeah, that is a future. 2 futures.
That's another guy we need to keep
Yeah, he's a
around.
freshman.
I forgot to mention him earlier,
A lot of freshmen, but here's a 608 game by Messmaker. Is that Ashton Gray? Yeah, Ashton Gray. I mean, we also have depth. Mackenzie McGill, Kiefer Sibley, Ashton Gray at the running back room. So, I think this team's got a lot of depth, and I think we might just have a little bit too much to throw at Tulane. There's Hawkins again against Navy.
So Tulane is a really balanced team. Jake Retzlaff is their leading rusher, and that's going to be a problem in and of itself. But they got 8 pass catchers that are over 150 yards on the season. They really distribute the ball well. Retzlaff has done a good job. I'll give him credit for that. So the weather's going to be a factor. We have a running quarterback we're playing against. It's something that UNT has struggled against historically. I don't know how much they're going to put the ball in the air. So is that going to be a problem with the running quarterback in this game?
Well, just say one thing before you put your point, but I mean, Messmaker and UNT's got 8 receivers over 125 yards, 7 over 150. So
our offense is.
It's not like anything crazy. It's like they don't have like 1,000 or like a 1,200 yard receiver, then a 769 yard guy, and then a 400, and then 300, and 300, and then 300. They got. Let's see what they got. They got 500, 400, 400, 400, 200, and 100. So they don't have like a key guy that like can really beat you over the top. Or
they don't have a go-to guy.
Exactly. And Red Sox does average over 5 yards a carry, which is going to suck. I mean, obviously we bowed up versus Navy, that was amazing to see. And obviously we had struggles with Rice early. Then we like shut them out pretty much after they got their early points. But I mean, Wazlowski's got 97 tackles. Trey Fields has been great all season. The defense has been 7 of the defensive line. Kevin Huddleston. They have been doing all right, so just stay disciplined and don't overcommit on the run.
Yeah, and we talked about the weather. We got the radar here of New Orleans, as you can see. A bit of an overcast. You know, it's going to be coming down.
Nice pan, Dirk. But
yeah,
Noah is soaked. We're talking about Red Slav. They're going to be soaked all game up there. A lot of people will be wet, so it's going to be ugly. Some might enjoy it like that, but personally, you know, it's going to suck for UNT because we like to throw the ball. We like to use the air raid offense. We obviously use the run us up the pass, but as long as it's not pouring and soaking during the game, we should be all right.
But you know what? John Summerall said himself that the rain and the weather might help them because they do want to put the ball on the ground. They want to run it, and they know that North Texas has a great passing attack, and they want to limit that. They want to take that away, and if Mother Nature can do that for you, they'll take that 9 times out of 10. Let's get score predictions. We can't do score predictions.
Whoa. Don't jump the gun.
We're jumping into the block.
I'm so eager. I just want to predict the game. I'm sorry. I know I'm nervous.
No, he's like eager, like he's anxious. He's ready to do it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this. This is going to be a fun game. I do think that North Texas will be able to score. I think that despite the weather, this North Texas team has shown that they can win games in multiple ways. They can win games with a ground attack, passing attack. They can win games defensively, lots of takeaways. So North Texas is going to find a way to put points on the board in this one despite the weather. So coming up next, we are actually going to do our predictions. We're going to predict this game. We're going to predict others in the other conference championship games across the season. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Good evening, my name is Amanda Hasbell, and I'm joining you here today in the Union Parking Garage. Today we're going to be going over how to drive safely in the parking garage. Let's go see. Oh my God, this girl just got hit by a car. Let's go see what happened. Ma'am, are you okay? Did you see that lady hit me with a car? Yeah, we did. I got it all on video. Oh my God. Let's go over here and talk about how we can prevent that. Yeah, not the hospital. Well, right now we're going to ask you a couple questions on how we can drive safely in the parking lot. What are ways that we can be aware of our surroundings?
Oh, we can look both ways.
Jenna, also, how about putting the distractions away?
Yes, just like our phones, turning our music down, and also not focusing on our passengers.
Where can you get information on how to get a parking pass?
Transportation.unt.edu.
If you park in a garage, make sure you pay on the app or look for further instructions on how you should pay.
And remember, no pass, no park. Let's all try to keep our Mean Green community safe.
Remember, we're all in this together.
Drive safe.
Has this ever happened to you?
My bike is gone.
Stolen bikes are an epidemic sweeping college campuses across America.
What am I supposed to do?
It's quite simple. The We Mean Green Fund has partnered with the UNT Police Department to offer free bike locks to any UNT student with a bike. Just show up with your bike in tow and ask.
Now I'll never lose my bike ever again.
Enough worrying. Get your bike lock today.
Haunting in the depths of NTTV studios. Something special is brewing just for you.
Hey ghouls and goblins, NTTV News is having a special Halloween segment this October 31st. We're also covering 31 days of Halloween in Denton. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be spooktacular.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day. I'm your host, Wyatt Schott, and for the last time this year, I am joined by Josh Ortega, Huston Hall, Matthew McDowell. Fellas, we get to predict the conference championship games across the country, all the way from the Power 4 down to the G5. We'll be talk about James Madison a little bit as well. You know, that's a foe that we have to worry about just in case, you know, things get weird. But I think we're in the clear for the most part, even if both teams win, that North Texas will be in the college football playoff, despite a JMU win. But let's start things off in the Big 12. Texas Tech takes on BYU in a rematch. This will be in Jerry World here in Dallas. I got Texas Tech winning this one. Every game that Bren Morton has started and completed, they've won by 20-plus points. I think that Texas Tech is going to handle BYU in the rematch.
I agree. We've seen this story before. We saw it a few weeks ago up in Lubbock, down here in Jerry's World, and for this weekend, I'm going to go Tech. I think it's pretty safe to say. I mean, look, we saw BYU. We saw what they tried to do. Now they play Tech again. I don't see this one changing. I'm going Tech.
Well, I'm usually not somebody to, if somebody wins the matchup in the regular season, pick them again when they meet up. The second time, that being said, I'm also going to go with Texas Tech. I just think there's too much talent on that Tech team. You touched upon Morton, the quarterback, but in the last matchup, it was really the ground game that got it done with Cameron Dickey, 121 yards, a touchdown. You also had Jacoby Williams with 77 yards of his own. And as I mentioned last time, Barrett Bachmeier, the freshman quarterback for BYU, he struggled. 23 of 38 for just 188, a touchdown, interception as well. He also fumbled the ball, another fumble from the wide receiver Parker Kingston. So 3-0 turnover count, BYU with 3 and then Tech with 0. So I'm going with Tech the second time.
Yeah, Matthew.
I have to agree with Houston. Usually I like betting on the other team if they beat someone once in the regular season, but I think the Soakers are still feeling the effects of the Raider rash, so I'm going to go with Tech on this one here in Jerry's World. In Arlington, not in Dallas, in Arlington, but I'll go with Tech.
That was a great sentence. I mean, I don't know if those words have ever been uttered in succession before like that.
Well, they shouldn't have been uttered that time.
You can call me the modern day Shakespeare.
Nobody's calling
That's what we'll call you.
Oh my!
That's what we'll call you.
Charles
Texas
Barkley.
Tech, though, on a serious note, I think that this Texas Tech team can actually make some noise in the college football playoff. I think that they're talented enough, especially on the defensive line. I know Skylar Go-Cassidy ended up getting hurt, and they'll be without him in the playoffs, I believe, unless he comes back from injury and he'll be healthy by playoff time. But I think he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Despite that, they have some real dudes on the defensive line. I think that they can compete and win some college football playoff games. Moving on, we're going to go to the SEC now. We have another rematch, Georgia versus Alabama. I got Georgia getting the revenge game in this spot. You know, it's tough to beat Georgia twice in a season, and I just don't think that Alabama's gotten better as the season's gone along. I think they've kind of faltered. You know, they bounced back after the Florida State loss, and it seemed like they were going to, coast through the rest of the season, especially after the Georgia win. But they stumbled a little bit. They haven't looked as good as I thought they should. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Georgia get the upset, or actually not the upset, but the revenge.
Yeah, I agree. You know, there's a lot of conversation about, Kirby Smart having a Alabama problem, 1-7 against the Tide, 0-2 versus Kalen DeBoer. We saw what they did to them earlier in the season in Athens. Look, the biggest thing for me is that this Alabama team has a tendency to be one-dimensional on offense. They cannot run the football. They did against Auburn, and that was a one-score game in the fourth quarter. And Jan Miller was in a boot after that game. So that's their best back potentially out of this game. I just don't see that this Alabama team can pass the football as efficiently as they did last time because they were playing better last time. Coming into this game, they were playing okay. One-score game in the Iron Bowl, I get it. That stadium's haunted, and, they're haunted by a lot of memories in that rivalry for a lot of reasons. But then again, you're not playing your best football. That loss to Oklahoma was a big one, and I'm going to go Georgia here. I think they get their get back here.
Well, I said last time that when I picked Georgia over Alabama that if I got that one wrong, I'd never pick Georgia over Alabama again. I don't know exactly what my record is in Georgia-Alabama games, but it's got to be 0-something. So, roll Tide, baby. I'm going with that Alabama on this one.
I can't believe you just said that. You were like, my record's so bad. And then I have the same pick as you. Spoiler, I'm picking Alabama.
Well, that's because I pick Georgia every time.
I mean, that is true, but I think the main difference in this game is going to be the pass rush. I think Alabama's going to be able to get to Stockton a lot better than Georgia will be able to get after Simpson. I think that's going to be the main differentiator. And it's in the ATL, it's in the ghetto, so we'll see who all pulls it out and really takes this one out of the mud, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm gonna go Alabama. I don't really know what's going on with Wyatt and Josh right now. They're playing patty cake, but I'm gonna go with Alabama. Back to you, Wyatt.
I've been tuning out Matthew, and he just brought me back with that one. I don't know what he's talking about, but we're gonna move on. We have a game of the century happening. That's usually what they call number 1 versus number 2. We have a game of the century going on with Ohio State and Indiana. And I don't feel like anyone's talking about it. Is it because Ohio State's going to kill them? I don't know. I'm not saying that, but I am going to take Ohio State to win. I am going to take Ohio State to win and to probably cover. So give me the Buckeyes in the Big Ten championship. Their first Big Ten championship in a long time. They could not beat Michigan, so they couldn't get to the conference championship game. So I got Ohio State in this one to finally get the Big Ten title.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Buckeyes here as well. Look, Indiana does this thing where they run the RPO system of offense. Fernando Mendoza's been really good in the passing game. What they really like to do is run the football. This Ohio State defense down the middle, Caleb Downs, they are phenomenal. They've got so many good pieces. Matt Patricia has schemed this defense great all year. They look decent against Michigan in tough environments. They're going to be in a dome in Indianapolis. I think that this is kind of like the Heisman race game. Whoever wins this game has probably have better odds to win the Heisman coming out of it. Ohio State's been scary all year. I don't see that changing against Indiana. It'll be close, but I'm going to go Ohio State here.
You're right in saying that this is the winner gets the Heisman, basically. It's either going to be Julian Sain at this point or Fernando Mendoza, so the winner's probably going to get it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off by saying the good news for Ohio State is that their win margin this year is almost 30 points a game. The bad news this year is that their only 2 wins against currently ranked teams are that 14-7 win over Texas at the start of the year and then Michigan last week. I am still going to go with Ohio State. I think they've got the better team. But I liked that you said you thought Ohio State was going to kill them.
I didn't say that.
Allegedly.
I did not say that.
He said
he implied it.
You implied it, and you said you expect them to cover. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say you
said
said you would
spread.
It is like a 1 point spread.
Is it 1 point?
Not 1 point, single digits.
Yeah,
my bad.
It's like a 5.5 spread.
Yeah, so if they win by 7, that's not blowing them out.
All I'm saying is that you said that
Houston's putting words in my mouth.
You said that Oregon was going to kill Indiana too.
I thought so.
They didn't.
They did not. I've learned.
Okay.
You think Ohio State's just as good as Oregon?
I think they're a little bit.
Y'all know y'all are picking the same team, right?
I'm just saying. I think that it's going to be a lot closer than Wyatt implied.
I didn't imply anything.
What am I catching?
I'm getting words put in my mouth by Huston Hall.
As the great Lee Corso would say, not so fast.
Ooh, we have some.
I'm going Indiana. On a previous episode of Mean Green Game Day, I said, I think if Ohio State, we knew these teams were going to be in the Big Ten championship. I said if Ohio State loses to Michigan, I would bet on them. But if they beat Michigan, I'm going to bet on Indiana. So I'm going to stay true to my word. Man of my word, I keep it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going with Indiana. I'm going to get one up on these guys, hopefully. Even though everything's saying Ohio State's going to win, I'm going with Indiana.
It would be huge. I mean, you couldn't put in a word it'd be for the Hoosiers if they could pull off this win. It would be their first ever Big Ten championship. And, it would just be program defining. It would cement Kurt Signetti and
he would have a statue outside the stadium by February.
Yeah, easily. I mean, he would go down as it would go down as the best rebuild
the GOAT
of all time.
already for them, pretty much.
Yeah, so big potential spot here for Indiana and, of course, for Ohio State. Moving on, in the Atlantic Coastal Conference, Duke, the 7-5 Duke
a real
Devils.
good team, according to Wyatt Schott.
A real quality team that is not reflective of their record is taking on Virginia, who has an inflated record.
And in the beginning of the year, we were betting against Duke and Illinois, and you said Duke's win line or their prop to win was 8.5, and you said you're not high on Duke. You said did you bet the under on that? Because it is the under, but you said you weren't high on Duke. Now you're kind of gassing them up. You're trying to gas it up.
No.
You're trying to gas it up.
Look, things change as the season's progressive, and I think that when the season started, Duke was overvalued, but now as the season's gone along and some of the results have come out, they have been undervalued, especially going into this game against really a subpar Virginia team. And
Bro, Chandler Morris is nice, bro.
Yeah, I'm so asleep on Chandler Morris. And so I'm going to say all this, and Virginia's going to win by 4 scores, but I'm going to take the Duke Blue Devils to win the ACC title, and that would allow for 2 G5 teams to sneak into the playoff because I don't think that they would be ranked higher at 8-5 than JMU at 12-1.
No. They're not ranked right now.
So unless JMU loses and Duke wins, I think we're going to have two G5s in the
a win
playoffs.
over Virginia is not like, oh my gosh, this team's like, Virginia's a good team, but they're also ranked, 16th or 17th?
You know what? Actually, what I want to talk about is the fact that Virginia has 1 conference loss, but they're 10-2, and their non-conference loss is to NC State.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Miami fans have to be irate.
Yeah.
They can't. How do you allow this to happen? How is the scheduling dynamic so weird that they're like, oh, we're just going to have to put NC State on the schedule as a non-conference? How did it get to this? You are a Power 4 conference, and you can't even schedule 3 out-of-conference games for your teams?
This is like some FBS D2.
Like this is ridiculous, the fact that it came to this, and it's going to cost Miami a playoff spot more than likely. And
I'm not mad about it, though.
I'm not mad either, but if I was a Miami fan, I would be irate. And I guarantee that
Irvin is doing some substances right now over this talk.
Michael Irvin needs a little pick-me-up.
Irvin's, a couple beers and a little, what was that Shane Gillis thing? Couple beers and what? A little bump. Yeah. Doing a little, Michael Irvin's getting a little bump in from the prescribed SNL thing from that skit. So, Michael Irvin's eyes are currently bloodshot over this. But, we'll see who. Let's get to the predictions. Come on, let's go.
All right, Josh, who you got? I got Duke.
Okay, the fun pick is Duke here. But 2 weeks ago, Virginia beat them 34-17. And look, you're going to be playing not only against Virginia, but you're playing against the committee because they're going to have to stay up all night and try to figure out how this is going to work out realistically if Duke wins. So I'm going to go Virginia.
I've got Darian Mintz's stat line from the last time they played pulled up. He went 18 of 35 for 213 and a touchdown and a fumble. He's not that good.
That's a fine stat line for a bad game on the road in the ACC.
I'm going with Virginia. Matthew?
Yeah, we yapped a little too long on this toilet bowl of a conference championship. I'm going with Virginia. I'm going Chandler Morris to have over 300 total yards.
All right, very quickly, JMU Troy, Sun Belt, Fun Belt. I got JMU winning and getting into the college football playoff because Duke's going to win.
JMU.
Stop it. Give me JMU.
Dumb belt. It's not the Fun Belt. It's a
the
dumb
dumb belt.
I'm going
goodness.
JMU.
Fighting words from Matthew McDowell taking shots at the Fun Belt.
I'm more of a Mac type of guy. I'm more of a Maction type of guy.
Oh, I like the Maction too. Some CUSA. Oh, yeah. All right, the tail of the tape. The game that we've all been waiting for. North Texas takes on Tulane in New Orleans tonight. College football playoff berth on the line. American Conference Championship game on the line as well. North Texas's best season in school history with Eric Morris out the door. Can he get the biggest win in school history on his way out to solidify himself as one of the best, if not the best, coaches in North Texas football history? I got North Texas winning. I am the only person on this panel that can say they are undefeated in picking North Texas games this season. I pick North Texas to win.
I'm so glad you picked UNT. I was going to bring that up, actually. Keep in mind, granted, he's undefeated. He won in that tie when he picked UAB, but this guy's got a Tulane color tie on right now. This is some asinine.
It is not a Tulane tie.
This is treason. What color is that? What is it? USF when you bet on them?
I'm suing you for defamation. And I'm not speaking to you until there's a lawyer present.
Okay.
Wow. I don't know how I follow that up.
Josh, can you pitch it to Matthew whenever it's his turn?
Okay,
I'll let Houston do it, bro. Me and Houston been getting closer and closer all season long.
I don't like the way you said that.
All right.
I'm gonna pick UNT. I'm gonna see you guys up there where we're at. Georgia Tech, Oregon. It don't matter. Look, this is a game that we know how this is gonna go. Weather's gonna be bad. Doesn't matter. On ABC, on the Varsity app. I'm excited for this game. UNT all the way.
Houston.
We talked about the rain and how it could potentially be a Caleb Hawkins type of game. I think that doesn't necessarily work against UNT the way that we originally thought. Caleb Hawkins has obviously been over 100 yards 5 times this season. He's been over 175 3 of the last 4 games. I'm going to go with the mean green, and I'm glad that Wyatt changed his pick from Tulane to UNT because I swear it said Tulane on there like yesterday.
Did it?
No. Someone wrote Wyatt's going to pick Tulane, I bet. I wonder who did that.
Yeah.
Actually, it was me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great.
Well,
anyways,
there. Problem solved.
Here, let me throw a lob to you real quick.
UNT all the way. See, let's get a 2-shot with me and Houston here. Grayson, let's get this. Come on, Grayson. Come on now. This guy is dialed as all get. You see this mean green tie? That's a mojo we're taking all the way. UNT's going to NOLA. They're going on Bourbon Street. They're going streaking. We're taking the win. We're bringing we're taking the American Conference Championship trophy back to Denton, and UNT is going to win 44-30.
Houston, score prediction.
I say 44-30.
44-30. Matthew's on record.
I'm going to go
Bet the over.
with 41-34.
42-21.
I'm going to go a little lower scoring.
I would say we all went pretty high.
I'm going to go 31-27. Just a little bit lower.
It's going to end up being like 15 to like 11.
I know. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be like 8 turnovers.
Let's review our scores for the fans at home.
All right, guys. That has been. Sorry.
No, real quick, just so we get everyone's scores. 44-30.
I said 41-34.
I think I said 44,
He doesn't even know.
41-21.
31,
You did not say
31-27. Locked in. Final. Sorry,
Locked in.
Matthew. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Anyways, this has been the last show of Mean Green Game Day for this semester. A historic one as we've covered the best football team in North Texas history. Thank you so much to everyone that has watched along the year. And thank you to all of our crew for putting the show together. Our producer, Nash Lowry, graphics, Dominic Casadante, TD, Brendan Rivers. Thank you so much, everyone. Look at it. We
They
spin the
turn
camera
cameras.
around. Yes, there is the crew. Yep, there we go. Make sure we get everyone. Just a fantastic job by everyone this entire semester, putting this show together, getting on the road, getting all of our graphics in, our lower thirds, the camera people as well.
Yeah,
thank
Grayson,
y'all so much.
Chantel,
yeah, can we
Elias,
get the cameras to look at each other?
Oh, there goes the prompter.
Well, I guess we can't see them. There we go.
There we go.
But thank y'all so much in all seriousness. This has been a fantastic semester. Look at them, the cameras are going crazy right now.
I've never seen those cameras move so fast in my life.
But seriously, thank y'all so much for watching. Thank you so much for being with us this entire year. For Wyatt Schott, for Josh Ortega, for Huston Hall, for Matthew McDowell, thank you for watching, and go Mean Green.